Capcom recently announced that the new Resident Evil 3 Remake would be doing away with the Mercenaries mode and replacing it with a multiplayer mode called Resident Evil Resistance, which pits 4 survivors against a single trap-laying, enemy-placing mastermind. Wow, that's probably a bad idea, a bunch of people probably thought, but now you can decide for yourself, as we've played a whole bunch of Resident Evil Resistance and are here with gameplay footage and 7 things to look out for in this new Resident Evil multiplayer mode. Enjoy! The premise of Resident Evil Resistance is that Umbrella, still not after winning any kind of Considerate Employer award, have started kidnapping teens off the street to conduct data-gathering experiments on them. Think Saw, only instead of some nonsense about making people appreciate life, it's to get combat data on whether Umbrella brand bioweapons can murder a bunch of teenagers.
The others have strength you need to survive. Do you think your skill with mechanics will be enough to inspire them to preserve your life?
Obviously, when you're doing a controlled experiment like this, you need a wide variety of subjects, which is how we ended up with these survivor characters available for you to play as in Resident Evil Resistance. There are 6 that we've seen so far, and each of them has their own specific strengths and weaknesses, along with unique skills and ultimate abilities that'll help you survive the onslaught of the undead. First up are the support characters. Valerie Harmon is a chemist whose main deal is healing her teammates. She has the passive skill Healing Aura, which boosts the effectiveness of healing items used by her and nearby teammates, Survival Instinct, which highlights items, important objects and threats for her and her team, and an ultimate in which she uses a modified first aid spray to heal herself and any nearby teammates of wounds and infections.
Everyone feeling better?
Then there's the improbably named Martin Sandwich, who has quit his job as a non-union Finn Wolfhard lookalike for a role in the exciting field of being murdered by bioweapons. Martin's deal is gadgets. He's got a flash baton, shock mines, and can make makeshift explosive mines that deal huge damage to the zombies. Next up are the damage dealers, Becca Woollett, who's good with firearms and whose ultimate gives her unlimited ammo, and Samuel Jordan, an ex-boxer who's handy with his fists. Rounding out the group are Tyrone Henry, the tank character who has a powerful kick, an ultimate which auto-regenerates his health, and the rally skill which buffs his teammates, and January Van Sant, the hacker character who can disable cameras, mess with the Mastermind's cooldown timers, and who has the words "No Escape" tattooed on her chest, which, come on January, have a little faith, please. In keeping with the idea that everything happening in Resident Evil Resistance is a science experiment, Umbrella has sensibly decided to test their bioweapons in a variety of locations. What makes less sense is the locations they actually chose. First up is the casino, a neon-drenched gambler's paradise full of slot machines, VIP lounges, and rock and roll memorabilia, which would be a pretty incongruous place to see a bunch of zombies, if we hadn't spent so much time playing Dead Rising 2.
Your freedom will not be so easy to earn.
Then there's the downtown map, which is set in the streets and interiors around a kind of warehouse, complete with gantries, crate mazes, and office rooms where most of the presentations are about how we're all currently being eaten by zombies. And finally, the map known as Abandoned Park, which is a kind of misleading name for a level set in what is basically a horror museum full of mummies, Frankensteins, and an honest-to-goodness haunted doll factory. I mean, to be honest, I don't know what you were expecting in this place. 5 stars on TripAdvisor. Excellent immersion. As mentioned before, Resident Evil Resistance is an asymmetric multiplayer experience in which one player plays as a mastermind while the other 4 players play as survivors. When playing as a survivor, your job is to survive the traps, monsters, and obstacles placed in your path by the mastermind to complete objectives, such as gathering key items or activating switches.
The key, a rush of hope. Do not let it overwhelm you.
Once you've done enough of these objectives, the elevator to the next stage of the game will open up, and you can proceed, as long as at least one of you is still alive and able to move around. As you explore the stages, you can find umbrella currency, which you can spend on weapons and items in the item crates found around the levels, and as you play, you charge your various abilities that can give you an edge when it comes to trying to survive whatever's being thrown at you. Teamwork is essential also. Run off on your own and you're likely to get overwhelmed, but you're also on the clock. You only have a certain amount of time to complete your objectives, and sometimes splitting up is the only way to get everything done in time.
Hope. An infinite amount of hope, but not for you.
It's pretty stressful, is what I'm saying basically. Still, the longer you play, the more credits you get and the cooler weapons you can buy or find lying around the levels. Some are more useful than others. Obviously, as we can see here by turning a regular zombie into an on-fire zombie, I'm not 100% sure the flamethrower is helping. On the other side of the asymmetric equation is the Mastermind, the Saw-style observer who watches everything through security cameras and deploys traps and monsters to try and stop the survivors from escaping. There were 4 to choose from in the build we played. Annette Birkin, last seen in the Resident Evil 2 remake, she's big on viral buffs for her monsters and controls the bioweapon G. Birkin, otherwise known as her husband William. Then there's Daniel Fabron, who is into creature control and whose ultimate calls in Resi 2's Mr. X, and Alex Wesker, who specializes in traps and controls the Yataveo bioweapon, which is a giant deadly plant. Finally, there's Oswell E. Spencer, last seen in Resident Evil 0, who is one of the most frustrating masterminds to play against due to a heavy emphasis on stalling you and wasting your time, exemplified by his ultimate, which creates an energy barrier that keeps you stuck in one spot for an extended period of time. When playing as a mastermind, you start with a choice of presets for your starting equipment, and then can start playing cards that correspond to different traps and creatures. Each card has its own unique cost, and you have to balance your bigger, more powerful cards with smaller, cheaper plays that will keep the survivors busy. You can keep an eye on the survivors by flipping through the various cameras, although the cameras can be hacked, so level knowledge is going to be essential. You can also lock doors, turn out the lights, and take direct control of certain creatures, letting you go and wail on the survivors yourself if it takes your fancy.
I cannot sit idly by while you attempt to use that.
It can all get a bit hectic, but at least the masterminds seem to be enjoying themselves.
Hide and seek is so much more exciting if the target is one of the undead, don't you think?
The ultimate card for the masterminds are their top bioweapons, and in the case of Daniel and Annette, this gives you the first opportunity in the Resident Evil series to play as Mr. X and William Birkin. I mean, outside of mods, and we don't talk about those for obvious reasons. But yeah, to use Annette as an example, once she has her ultimate charge, she can call in her husband William in a display of marital unity that's as touching as it is terrifying.
William, help me eradicate all trace of our past, and then I shall also lay you to rest.
Alex Wesker's ultimate, Yataveo, is a little less mobile than the Tyrant's, but makes up for its lack of mobility by blocking paths that survivors need to get to their next objective in the grossest way possible. And while Spencer's laser grid is useful, we can't help but think it's a little unimaginative. Come on, Oswell, is that the best you could do? What happened to all your leeches? For those wondering, Resident Evil Resistance does indeed have a progression system. Finishing a round rewards you with points and boosts your progression towards higher ranks. And higher ranks unlock better skills and better equipment, such as the ability to auto-aim or automatically use green herbs when your health drops below a certain level. Presumably, as you rank up, you'll also unlock new cosmetic items for your character. It looks like there will be multiple survivor skins to choose from, as well as weapon skins and a whole load of emotes to help you stand out as everyone else is being swarmed by zombie dogs. There are also sprays, just in case you were worried you wouldn't be able to spray the logo of the company who caused this all over the walls. That'll show 'em.
I'm a street Rembrandt.
Finally, in a lovely touch, Resident Evil Resistance includes something called Broadcast Mode, which lets you, when playing as the Mastermind, talk to the players playing as the survivors. In normal play, the Mastermind character will chime in with various mocking taunts and threats, but if you like, Broadcast Mode will mute this and allow you to do it yourself over voice chat, so you can tell your friends, or even total strangers over the internet, that they are as insignificant worms before the might of the tyrant.
Another death. This is inevitable.
Basically, this is your chance to deliver the villain monologue from the end of every Resident Evil game, only with the added bonus that you won't then immediately get killed by the bioweapon you've just spent 10 minutes waxing poetic about.
It's magnificent.
See? Happens all the time. So, those were the 7 things you need to know about the Resident Evil 3 Remake's multiplayer mode, Resident Evil Resistance. Are you looking forward to it, or will you be sticking to the single player? Let us know in the comments below, and like and subscribe for more Resident Evil 3 Remake coming to Outside Xbox soon. Thanks for watching!